Thanks a lot. I think you already heard about AI and security a lot today, so we're mainly focusing on why human and AI teams is something that is actually focusing on how it integrates and how it's reskilling for an automated future. First of all, I want to prepare that we're only 3 panelists, but maybe Karina will come later, I don't know. We'll find out. But first of all, I want to give a first intro regarding all of those different panelists. I'm really excited that I think you know the others anyhow regarding other projects before. First of all, I want to start with you, Stan. If you just describe what you're doing with ElevenLabs and give a bit of an overview how this is somehow related to humans as well. Yeah? Please.
So good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me today. My name is Stan from ElevenLabs. If you're not familiar with ElevenLabs, we're currently the fastest growing AI company coming out of Europe. We power the voice layer for most of the products and services that you might be using today. If you think about Perplexity, if you think about Dutch Telecom, if you think about some of the TV series that you watch on Netflix, we will provide the speech models that will allow any company to take traditional text and convert it into the human voice. And today we work with small, medium, large companies. 75% of the Fortune 500 use our platform, but we also help early stage startups, 2 people working in a garage on their AI project, and we want to make sure that they can build on our platform. So we're really thrilled to be here today.
Thanks a lot. Maximilian, could you explain what you're doing with Vacabee? I think anyhow you're based in Frankfurt as I am, so
yes, I am.
Nice to have direct connections. And please describe what Vacabee is about and how you're related to what ElevenLabs and Spherical is doing anyhow. So I think there is anyhow a direct connection to give a brief overview.
Absolutely, yeah, thanks Oliver. Nice to be here. My name is Maximilian Schmidt. I'm the CTO of Vacabee. We are a US-based company that basically has the mission to redefine travel and lifestyle. So you all know probably Booking.com and other travel engines. They always have in their business model like a margin on top of the prices because this is how they basically earn money. We give away all hotels, travels and everything to the wholesale price because we have a subscription model. Based upon that, we are building an AI concierge, so-called Mr. B. This is like your digital travel concierge that you can ask, hey, Mr. B, please book me a flight to New York and also please book me a hotel. And for this technology, we're also using the great tech of ElevenLabs. Yeah, we want to reinvent the travel industry and build some great products for here.
Thanks a lot. Ingo, could you please explain what you're doing? I mean, you're coming out of the Web3 space anyhow, but now you're right now focusing very strongly on a new company. Is this correct? Or that is called 3 and AI. Give you a bit of an overview of it and give us some outlook regarding how you're changing the future of work, how you separate in between those that are working on direct subjects and those that are more doing the top side, so to say.
Okay, that is 2 different questions, I think. So first, very quickly, because I think we will have a chance to go in a little bit deeper into what the companies actually do. So we are building an infrastructure for companies which want to build their own AI agents, their own RAGs, their own MCP servers, and so on in a secure and gated way. So think of you have a company which has a lot of knowledge inside databases and you don't want to share this with this knowledge with ChatGPT because this is your the most valuable thing that you have. That's basically your business model, but still you want to have ChatGPT looking into parts of your data occasionally to be like your sales channel. So this is something which is definitely very much needed by a lot of companies. We see that in the market, and we want to build an infrastructure which enables exactly that. So then about 3 and AI. So the idea of 3 and AI, and this is where the name comes from, is that we actually think if you have 3 people which do have AI and computing skills, so take a computer scientist, you have 1 person who knows how to build companies, how to make processes, and 1 person who's really good in marketing and sales, that should be enough for a company. There shouldn't be any more people. And we try to prove that. Of course, there's a little caveat in there. Of course, we need partnerships here and there, but we are not employing people. So we are never going to employ anyone, because when we see, oh shit, we need a designer for making a website or whatnot, we use AI for that. So anytime we have the feeling that we need people, we don't employ people, but we find out how we can actually do it with AI. This is the concept of what's called an AI native company. AI native companies are having only founders and no employees. And there's statistics and predictions which say that the first AI native unicorns will show up basically in 2026, which is not far from here, and so we thought we should probably at least try to be one of them. So this is the concept, and of course this is a lot of experimenting right now. So AIs are not perfect. As you might have noticed, you cannot spell fail without AI. So it's a lot of bullshit that comes out of these things. It needs a lot of work. But what we notice is that if founders actually start treating AI agents and AI LLMs as employees, and that is actually a very, very similar relationship than the relationship that you had between a superior and an employee in a company, actually, because you start talking to them, they make something which is not very good, maybe, then you start correcting, and then it comes out better, and in the end you're happy with it, and then you put it together to a product. This is what founders have always done. So it's not very far away. So, and this is the concept, and we are trying this out on this concrete example of building this middleware, this infrastructure for AI companies.
Thanks a lot. So just to give you a bit of an overview where I come from, that you have at least some idea about it. I'm coming from Bundesblock, so mainly the Blockchain Association of Germany, having a lot of different talks to politicians and others to give it some kind of a foundation that we're really getting into the future with where you all come from. That's why we're there. The other part that I'm doing is that I'm creating human in data, where we're coming from the other side, saying that human is the gold standard, so that you simply need somebody who's approving that those information, either from the training side or from the information that's coming from certain prompts, has to be validated based on some kind of critical decision or whatever. So, and that's why I find it really interesting that even from the speech side and from the video side, where Spherical is coming from, Synthesia, sorry, so that I think it's interesting to see that there's a different reskilling of those parts to get into a work that then gives, for instance, Vacabee an option to be really operating. So what is your view on how it actually evolves and where you have to start with? Because just creating something from a chatbot saying that there is speech is for sure the wrong decision. Yeah? Yeah.
So the question about reskilling, especially in this day and age of AI being ubiquitous. I'm not going to share my official age, but let's say I'm in the older demographic of the millennial. And when I entered the job market, it was when personal computers were literally taking over. Most offices, most companies were still using pen and paper. Everything was classified in like big folders. And then literally within 18 months, every single company had a personal computer on their desk. Same thing is happening with AI. It's even happening much, much faster. And depending on how old you might be, you're going to be in the workforce with AI natives, younger generation that are used to creating content with Synthesia for AI avatar, using our speech technology to create training content or voiceover for TikTok and YouTube videos, etc. So we're in the day and age where if you want to stay relevant, you really have to be curious. And it's a great time to be curious. There is not a better time to get access to a ton of information. And also, it's literally the barrier of entry is very, very low. If you play with tools like Synthesia, ElevenLabs, Lovable is a great example where literally in a matter of minutes, you can create a mini website with your landing page, put your CV online, create your own domain. There's a lot of interesting things that can be done. And so that's why curiosity is going to be super important for every single person into the workforce. And having the ability to master those tools that are going to become the norm, especially if you work in sales, pre-sales, customer support, if you work in the legal space, if you work in the hospitality space, if you're a receptionist, your job is going to be the same, except that you're going to have to manage a fleet of AI agents that will do the work for you. And your job is going to be to measure the quality of their work, of their output, and making sure that they perform at the highest capability in a way that is safe and ethical, and also that represents your brand in the most effective way. So it's going to be slight shifts. It's going to be more managing AI agent in the future to do my own job versus doing my own job the way I currently do it.
It's interesting. I mean, I think that Vacabee is coming from the customer side for ElevenLabs, and I guess that you decided based on critical decisions that I guess you already tried certain things out and maybe failed. Ingo already explained that fail is with AI. So I think it would be interesting to understand how your view on those different very important parts regarding virtual humans that are normally based on real humans. That's what you, for instance, described before. How do you see this?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. So the first version of Vacabee actually started with real persons concierge. So we went already live with the product and dealing with people who travel a lot and basically had the request to book a flight, to book a hotel and so on. And we really had people who did that. When the idea of having an AI assistant, Mr. B for that, came up to be like an always available agent, an always available assistant that you can always call, like really voice to voice, give these questions. But of course, as also Ingo said, AI isn't perfect. There can happen several things. And this is also a topic we're going to discuss later, the human in the loop. So you always have to have some human in the backup, at least in our business. When something went wrong, like you book a flight ticket and it doesn't just issue, or you book a hotel, you don't get the confirmation because of whatever reason, you depend on that this hotel is really booked. You don't want to arrive in the hotel and realize, oh, it was never booked. So it's always important to have humans in the background to ensure if something automated fails, especially in such a critical use case like hospitality, where you depend on, you don't want to sleep on the street eventually, to ensure for our customers that really everything goes well, but also have the strengths of AI to provide this instant service. Like you call somebody and he's there even if it's late in the night and can answer all the questions, can do all the requests for you. So yeah, this is how we see it.
Okay, that's a tough one. But I mean, Ingo, you decided that you're reskilling where you came from with different enterprises that you already created. You decided now that you're reskilling with an AI part in it, and would be interesting to understand where you see the risks and where do you see the agentic AI as being part of it?
Well, the risk you mean for the workforce, or
yeah, for development itself and how to integrate. For instance, I mean, building apps, and if we're always targeting that we have to deploy a new app, we always have to work with every new month there's a new opportunity, a new environment. And I would like to understand how you trigger this and how you see this as some kind of a real opportunity, or as well a bit of a risk as well. Yeah.
Well, we're trying to look very much into the market. So we are quite nicely from other things that we did. So as you said, I come from the Web3. I'm the founder of KILT protocol, which is one of the blockchains out there. I worked together with my colleagues from 3&AI for a while in Poker, which is the Polkadot business unit. So we are very well connected to governments and enterprises worldwide. And so we try to figure out what their issues actually are. And there's the staff issue, which is really surprising from time to time. So we had 2 meetings in the last 2 weeks, with one with a legal firm and one with a lobbying organization. And they both have the big problem that their staff cannot prompt. They are not skilled in prompting. And what they are basically looking for currently, which we can't solve, unfortunately, but because we don't think that is our task. What they're looking for is the web interface, which automatically generates prompts. So they want their personnel, their staff, to click and select and use the normal web, and out of that there should be a prompt then. And then this prompt shall be fed into whatever conversational AI. I don't think that this is the future, but this is the issues that come up. And so that is one thing that we're not dealing with, but it's quite interesting to notice that. So what you see is that the people try to keep with their people, with their staff, even if the staff does not really want to shift over to an AI world. I don't think that this is going to be very successful. I think we all have to learn how to conversational speak with computers. I don't know if you've seen this, I think it was a Star Trek thingy, where Scotty got somehow into the past and asked another engineer, do you have a computer? And he showed them an old Apple computer, and then he said, oh, computer, compute this and this, and of course the Apple didn't do anything, and then the old engineer pointed to the mouse, and then Scotty picked up the mouse and said, computer, can you do this and this? I think the future, they got it quite right. It's going to be conversational, and it's not going to be click here, click there, select there. This is one of the bigger issues that we have seen. The other big issue is that I think businesses start to understand, if you have an AI business model, AI business model not meaning that you want to be 10% more effective by using ChatGPT. This is not a business model, this is just streamlining your company. But if you have an AI business model, this is always based on you have data that ChatGPT does not have. So you might have one of the customers, for example, has all the charging stations worldwide, and they know the status of them. Of course, ChatGPT would like to have this data, but they're not going to give it to them because that's their business model, to sell that, right? If you open up your Apple Maps, you can click there, where's the next charging station, and then you find it, and that goes through their software, and they get a share of what you pay to the charging station. So this is their business model. But of course, they want ChatGPT to answer the question, where's the next charging station? So you want to use the AI, but you don't want to share your data with the AI. And this is I think the biggest concern. That goes through all the people that we're talking with in industry. They have data and they don't want to share it, or they're not allowed to share it because it's GDPR data and whatnot. And or their businesses depend on that, or they have information that they want to use in an AI manner to make their employees better. That's a different thing. So this is probably the most interesting thing that we have found out over the last couple of months working in 3F and AI. And this is, so when you ask about risk, so the biggest risk is actually ChatGPT currently, because ChatGPT is not a European firm. Most of us are European here. So where are we? The big money is going to be made anyway by NVIDIA because they're making the GPUs, and by ChatGPT because they are going to have the customer interface. You are not going to have the customer interface. If you build an AI agent, it's probably not the go-to place because everyone goes to ChatGPT or Claude or whatnot, right? So you can build an agent which is then used by websites, which is used by companies, which is used by ChatGPT maybe, but the consumer-facing thing is gone, right? And this is what is the big risk for Europe, actually. So we have to find business models which exploit the data that we have by not sharing the data that we have with the big models. I think this is the key to success. And on top of that, you can build really, really nice companies, be they AI native or not.
Yeah. I think you touched on something very interesting regarding reskilling of our employees when it comes to mastering the art of prompting. I might be an utopian when it comes to AI, but we can see already that the role of prompt engineer is something new that didn't exist pre-ChatGPT 3, November 2022. That's something that is growing super, super, super quickly. Similar to the internet, you think about 10, 12 years ago, the job of community manager didn't exist. The role of AWS architect didn't exist. You think about being a Salesforce engineer didn't exist. All this type of new job will become the norm over the upcoming years. But it all starts with having the ability to design a clean and actionable prompt, which is the great first step to enter this AI literacy movement.
Very interesting. I think there's anyhow, I would call it a new chief in town that is called MCP, right? So I don't know. Raise your hand if you know what MCP is. Oh, at least a bit too low, to be honest. But I think the interesting part is, because you already mentioned that you have to decide how it is created as such, and this is anyhow a communication that is in the machine room via CLI, right? And that's really important to understand how this is actually evolving and how this is bringing as well the whole blockchain space into a new factor here, because there's no payment involved into it right now. And this is something that AI is really, right now, it's really missing. How do you deal with values here? We're dealing with data in AI, but this data as well, if you think of something that there is some kind of a prompt, how do you know that those information are not too, wherever those information come from, that gives a certain risk for companies within critical data infrastructure. And this is something that I think is very, very important to understand, that companies that bring, for instance, MCP servers, like for languages, like for videos as well, what we're doing mainly is for data validation, so that you can ask if those data are actually real, and that has to be checked as such. And I would like to really understand, for instance, I don't know if you know ERC 8004. If one of you want to say something about it, maybe that would be interesting.
Yeah, I think payment is a very, very interesting topic, because it somehow turns around the Web 2 completely. Because in Web 2, you always paid for being visible, right? So you basically operated with a team of people who made your website Google friendly, so that you could be found on Google. So you wanted to be found, and this is what you paid for. Even maybe you paid for ads, right? And in the Web 2, and this is what the fuel of the Web 2 was, the money that came in from advertisers, right? That is what it is, and the user never paid. The user paid with their eyeballs. If you have ever used AI, you notice when you start using it heavily, it wants you to pay. That is different. Now the user pays, and that is a completely different game. And this is very, very interesting. And that is because that is born out of the nature of AI, because it is very, very energy consuming and is extremely expensive to run, right? So if ChatGPT prompts you for please paying $50, they already spend $200 on you. Yes, so that's what we have right now. So it's a very, very interesting case. And if you want to run your own AIs, because you have your own data as a company, and you want to somehow make it available through MCP servers, maybe one of you explains the MCP server, then I go a little bit more into the payment. Then, of course, at one point you need to pay the people, you need to ask the people who use that to pay, or the other AIs to pay that, what you have the data here. So look at this example with the charging stations. Of course, in the end, somebody has to pay, right? You have to pay for the charging, and of course, the company wants a cut, so somehow the money has to be somehow funneled through there. So you need to get something in payment. And there's this relatively new ERC 8004, which is very much recommended to be read by everyone. It makes some waves because Google jumped on the ship already, which seems to be important, and that is a possibility to basically integrate an identification possibility into AI agents and also a payment method. And they do have also other things in there, but it's identification. So who am I actually talking to? So just an AI agent is an AI agent, whereas the responsibility of this AI agent that it actually gives you right answers or wrong answers. What if you make a wrong decision based on something that you learned from an AI agent? Where's the accountability? So if you buy a toaster, then the toaster normally is checked by something, some I don't know, TÜV in Germany, and if you don't mishandle it completely, like using it in the garden, then it probably won't burn. So you can be pretty sure that it's working fine. And if it's not working fine, you can go back to the shop and say, I want a better toaster, or go to the company and say, hey, my house burned down because of your toaster. Now do something. In AI agents, you don't have that. And the first thing that you need for making things like AI agents accountable for what they do is to identify them. This is all in ERC 8004, and there's also a payment method in there. So the world here is moving, and it's bringing the Web3 world and the AI world together in a really, really nice way.
That's really interesting. Max, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks, Ingo, for that. As there are probably not that many people, or some people at least, who don't understand, at least I saw the hands, that don't understand what an MCP server is. I just wanted to grab on that and try to explain this in like non-technical words, also with an example, basically, because I think MCP is like the new standard when it comes to AI communication, especially when AI agents talk interconnectedly. Of course, payment is like on top, like the next big thing on that. But when I also spoke with a lot of people, they didn't heard of MCP, and I think this is very important. The main idea is that imagine you have ChatGPT. You can prompt some things, you can ask it some things. ChatGPT, since like a year or so, is now also able to browse the internet, search some things for you, and so on. Basically, if you have a company and you develop a MCP server, like the MCP protocol for it, you're basically exposing tools. So in our case, for example, it would be check hotels, check flights, book a hotel, and all those different things that Mr. B can do, we are exposing through an MCP server, which is the global standard, a standard that also ElevenLabs is implementing, so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel and develop like a speech AI that can speak and listen and so on, because this requires, I guess, a lot of money to do that. So what we do is we utilize the technology of ElevenLabs. We expose everything that our Mr. B can do through the app, also through the so-called MCP server, connect the technology from ElevenLabs, and this AI agent can then do all those things. So we can even have people calling on the phone to one of the AI agents, and they can book hotels and everything. And this is a really great concept that any company who do some things online can think about, what could I allow other AI agents like ChatGPT, for example, that my users could do when they are already logged in, authenticated. They can log in through ChatGPT, and you can ask their things or other things, and even think about connecting different AI agents. Again, like my Mr. B, Stan's Mr. B, Ingo's Mr. B can speak together and find out like what kind of travel does not fit all. Maybe he likes pools, he likes on being on the ocean, and those agents can maybe communicate with each other or whatever. Just an example, but really MCP is like a very important term to know what it is when you're dealing with AI agents. This is what I wanted to bring in here.
It has been super interesting to see the fast adoption of companies like Vacabee. When the MCP protocol was released, the same weekend, our engineers decided to organize a hackathon at our office in London, literally spend the entire weekend coding to, on Monday morning, be able to release our first MCP server. And since we can see the adoption of our voice technology being not only used for SaaS products, more also website, but also physical product, such as an alarm clock, where in the morning when you wake up, your alarm tells you, Stan, your first meeting is at 8:30, and you're meeting with such and such. Today the weather is sunny, partially cloudy. Temperature is going to be 17 degrees. Be careful at 4 p.m. You need to collect your kids because your son has a dentist appointment. So to make any physical product or digital product interconnected with your CRM, a database, a website, similar to Lego pieces that you interconnect to create something unique, that will make sense for your end user. It has been super interesting to see, the speed of, the deployment across multiple industries.
Yes, so this is the positive side of it. There is a negative side of it. The interesting part is that right now there's really new opportunities and everybody's trying certain things out, and this is really amazing. It's really amazing. It's a completely new story if you think about what you can actually achieve with AI technology. The different part is that if you think about how certain risks are taken by people that are moving from the negative side, from really getting into addressing, for instance, if you use your private key as such within an AI topic, so that you can use this through a CLI topic, and then what happens? Crazy, yeah. And the same thing comes if you think about how people are addressed regarding spam creation and how to attack certain use cases that are simply in the market. This is mainly based on MCP as well. Yeah? And then, of course, we're dealing here with authentication, we're dealing with ID, and this is important, and this is something that is coming from those that are actually moving it into a new part. And this is really important to understand how Web3 as well brings additional features into those MCP servers and MCP clients, so that we're really getting on a better track here. And that's why I find it really interesting, maybe, Stan, if you tell about how do you see, if you're dealing with MCP clients and servers, if you go through ethics, if you think about how people are moving certain information from your side and use it for some kind of completely irresponsible information that are then attacked other people. Yeah, if there is some kind of telephone call from somebody, from some kind of VIP person, that is really moving into critical situations.
Yeah, totally. You're 100% right. So that's why technology, only the paranoid survive. We see that ethics and safety, we see that as the main differentiators that we have versus all our competitors. We need to have the best technology, but also we need to have the safest. So that's why we invest heavily in safety for anything related to deepfake, anything related to impersonation. We've got a very large team that purely focus on making sure that our users are safe, and also making sure that our voice artists, so on ElevenLabs, you have access to 5,000 real human voices. So people like you and I that went to our platform to share hours of recording of their voice. So if you are a call center, and if you need the voice of a young man from that speaks German with an accent from Berlin, you will find dozens of voices like that. If you need, a middle-aged Frenchman that speaks English with an accent from the south of France, you'll find my voice in the platform. And so we make it super, super clear that safety is number one. And so that's why we recently invested in. So now we're a SOC 2 Type 2, SOC 3. In Germany, we're DORA compliant. We just released ISO 27001, and we see that it's slowing us down, slightly. Yeah. And but it's a price that we're willing to pay to become the most stable AI voice platform in the industry. And as a business, I think most companies are a little bit kind of petrified regarding should we go all in on AI or should we be more cautious? And as a result, there is this paralysis. I think it has to come from leadership regarding your risk appetite. Do you want to be more kind of a risk taker when it comes to AI adoption, even knowing that still it's infancy? Or do you want to be safer and take your time, wait like 12, 18 months, see mistakes being made before deploying it, but with the trade-offs that some of your competitors might take a slight advantage when it comes to the competitive market. And that's the dilemma that we all have in 2025. Yeah. We picked the safe and being highly ethical path to the detriment that it's costing us a lot of money to have this very large infrastructure. But we see that we see being a multi-generational company, and so we need to be ready for not only for the next 6 months, but the next 10 years.
Got it. I mean, Max, you already mentioned human in the loop, for instance, right? Human in the loop is mainly targeting regarding certain critical decisions that might be taken by AI systems, and then moving towards people. Those people, do they sit in your own business, or are they maybe from other services that might be regarding only the scalability factor, are otherwise not possible? What is the future of reskilling? How do you see it?
So future of reskilling in this particular case, when we talk about the human in loop for the concierge parts, it will be our in-house team. I mean, we did this for more than 20 years now. We are a licensed travel company, now switching to AI. This will be our in-house team. But in general, for the reskilling for AI, we see this now definitely in the terms of development. Like I told all my developers, guys, you need to learn and adapt and use all AI tools that you can get. Otherwise, you don't have a job in 2 years. Because it's crazy what you can do with tools like Claude and Cursor AI and Codex and how they are all called. A developer can be now 10x, 20x more productive using such tools as you have just one developer there. And this is just an example. So I think, because I'm working and I see it there, but I think in any job, you will see this increase of productivity with AI when you do it, but you will also see the lack of your necessity if you don't apply it, because a chat agent eventually is able to do that.
Yeah. And I think it's also a very human thing. So there's people who can lead other people or agents, and then there's people who don't want that. So some people just want to wait until they get a task, and then they do this task, and then they say, I'm ready. Those people, even if they're developers, and there's a lot of developers like that, those developers will not have a job in the future. This is the case. Only the developers which can lead a team of AI agents and be more effective by breaking down a big task into smaller tasks which they give to their new virtual employees, and then check their work and then bundle it together to make it a piece of software, those will have a job, and they will have a very well-paid job probably. But there's also a lot of it. This is not only true for developers, this goes through all the white-collar world, right? And this is what's going to happen. So when you have a workforce of developers or whatever white-collar people, you have to somehow find out who are those who can prompt, who want to lead. And if they just don't want that, then they have to look for something else, probably in the future.
Yeah, nice final word. It seems like, is there some kind of question from you guys? You have any kind of question? Yeah, just, sorry.
Thank you very much. My question would be mostly to Stan and to Maximilian. I realized that the integration between one and the other one is working like a win-win situation to ElevenLabs and to Vacabee. I operate in the travel and lifestyle industry, and we have realized that it's very outdated. But at the end of the day, what we have realized that it has to be a win-win-win situation, and the most important person at the end is the end consumer. Because if the end consumer doesn't pay for the product, we can invent the best things, and at the end consumer doesn't really emphasize so much where the technology comes from and how it operates. They are just thinking, what is in for me? So my question to the two of you would be this: what is in for the end consumer? The integration, the combination of the two. What is in, and I really appreciate the speech-to-speech and the adaptation to the end consumer, where he's from, how old he is, so that I can feel comfortable talking to the AI. So what would be the added value with a combination with Vacabee and ElevenLabs for the end consumer? What is in for them?
I can start, Max. I think it's a great question because in this day and age, the companies that will win the next race will be the companies that focus on the end user. I think most people approach AI as, how can I reduce cost? How can I boost my productivity, but without thinking about the end experience for the consumer, for the user of the product. And in, let's say the hospitality world, or even like if you call your network provider, broadband provider, there are a lot of use cases where you don't want to be put on hold for 4 minutes just to share your water meter number. You don't want to be put on hold for 7 minutes just to reset your password. It's a lot of use cases where adding a real human in the equation actually has a negative impact on your customer satisfaction. So the goal of most companies today is to identify, as a part of your 100 of use cases, which one can be leveraged by AI because it will influence customer satisfaction. And there are a lot of them. Debt collection is one of them that I personally love. We work with a company in Denmark where they did a test where basically they called thousands of people that were in debt because they wanted, they got like a mortgage on a house or on a car, etc. They couldn't repay the payment, and so half of them were called by real human, half of them were called by an AI. And they noticed that people actually were more inclined to speak with an AI about their personal financial challenges because they didn't feel judged. They could open up about how can they find a path to repay what they needed instead of feeling judged. And so there, for me, it was a big eye-opener that initially I was thinking about AI boosting productivity, but actually AI can be a real game changer when it comes to customer satisfaction when done properly.
Okay. So thanks. I think we have to, but we're anyhow here, so you can start working with those guys. And thanks a lot for discussing it. And you have your new homework. You will look up for how MCP is working and how actually human is the gold standard in what is the truth. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.